What's up, Not Move Nation? Welcome to the Not Move podcast. I am here with JB and Charby. How are you doing, guys?
Decent, decent,
Good,
decent.
good.
What's good?
What up?
Right on. Today is September 29th at 1:55 p.m. Eastern Time. We have two Monday night football games on tonight. The New York Jets at Miami Dolphins and the Cincinnati Bengals at the Denver Broncos. The Miami Dolphins have won the last 8 out of 10 matchups against the New York Jets. Miami, last that I checked, was favored to win this game by 3 points. The over-under was 44.5. Now, Tua has a 6-0 career record against the Jets. Also, Justin Fields was questionable leading up to this game due to concussion protocol. Looks like he's going to be playing in this game tonight. First, I'll start with you, Charby. How are you feeling about this game? Your initial thoughts?
Well, after some brief analysis, I got to take the Jets all day. Uh, Miami's 8-0 against the Jets the last eight, I believe. Eight out of, what was it, 8 out of 10?
Yes.
8 out of 10. I'm looking for the Jets to break that streak. I think the Jets are more versatile. I think they got more chemistry, more weaponry than Miami has right now. Miami feels super sloppy jalopy. Um, Looks like they're not quite in rhythm yet. And I think New York goes down to Miami and takes the cake with this one personally. I like the over in this game. I do think it's going to be action packed. And I like the Jets money line as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the over. 3 out of the last 5 meetings that these teams have played, there have been 45 or more total points scored. Also, they are both 2-1 to the over this year. JB, what are you thinking, my man?
Um, I like the Jets. Especially Justin Fields coming back. Um, Justin Wheeler. I think he brings another dynamic, obviously, to their offense. Tyler Taylor did decent though. Kudos to him. But um, I don't know, with the chemistry that Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields have had in the past, going back to college, I think they could really light it up. I mean, you seen what they were doing in week one. They were getting things rolling out there. Brees Hall was getting involved. It wasn't really until Justin Fields got injured that Brees Hall came up on like the possible trade wire. You know what I mean? Rumors. Like, I mean, but really, when you have a running back, a quarterback, do you really need Brees Hall?
Right. So, I'm looking at the passing play percentage for both of these teams. Miami ranks second in passing play percentage. I did my research on this game yesterday. So at that time, they ranked second in passing play percentage. The Jets ranked 26th, which tells me that Miami is going to be calling a high percentage of passing plays relative to the other teams in the league. And the Jets are going to be calling a higher percentage of rushing plays compared to the other teams in the league. With that being said, I think Miami is somewhat one-dimensional. They before the game started this week, they ranked 32nd, so worst in. Excuse me. No, that's the Bengals. Sorry, but still, the Dolphins ranked 26th in rushing yards per game, so they haven't really been establishing that run too well. And their passing yards per game, you would think it would be higher when they're calling the second amount of passing plays, uh, percentage wise, out of all the other teams in the league. They rank 21st in that category. So they're not really passing too effectively. On the flip side, the Jets could be doing better at passing the ball. They rank 31st in passing yards per game. But the Jets rank ninth in rushing yards per game, and Miami ranks 28th in rushing yards allowed per game. So I think the Jets have a huge rushing advantage in this game. And one guy that I'm looking at, and I've heard this name multiple times already during this segment, Justin Fields. Justin Fields rushing yards. I checked this line, I think it was a couple of days ago, and it was at 43 and a half. I believe it has jumped up now to 47 and a half, 48 and a half.
Yeah.
Like it keeps climbing. Now, I do think there is a little bit of concern here because this is his first game back after undergoing the whole concussion protocol and all of that stuff. And Miami this season has allowed the 9th most rushing yards to quarterbacks, and that was before all of the games yesterday. Now, when I looked at this, Justin Fields over-under was 43 and a half. He had gone over that line in 2 out of 2 games this year, and he's gone over that line in 1 out of 1 career games against Miami. And that game that he played against Miami was in 2022, and it was actually his single game rushing record. He had 178 rushing yards, 1 touchdown off 15 carries. This is going to be my favorite play in this game, Justin Fields rushing yards. Also, Justin Fields ranks 7th best in yards per carry this season. Miami ranks 22nd in opponent rushing yards per attempt. So Miami is allowing a good chunk of yardage per rush attempt, and Justin Fields is getting a good chunk of yardage when he is rushing the ball. I think the only concern is that this is his first game back, but that's also another reason why I like it. I think a lot of people may be a little bit hesitant on Justin Fields. Is he going to be fully healthy? Is he going to be playing up to his normal capacity? I don't have any doubts about that. Now, JB, if you're still there, I did want to ask you, I did mention that Miami is somewhat one-dimensional,
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, who do you see having a better game, Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle? What I want to let you know is that the Jets ranked 9th worst in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers this season. I think that's where the Dolphins are going to have to try to exploit the Jets defense.
Right.
Who do you see having a bigger game in this, Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle?
Well, I believe Sauce Gardner follows and shadows the number 1, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Jalen Waddle has the best success, or has the best chance to have success, because like I said, that number 1 option I think is going to be Sauce. He's going to be gardening tonight, up on the hill. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think, also I got Waddle, tonight. I got a chance to come back from behind in both my fantasy leagues and continue my win streak of 1 and get back on it. But yeah, no, I think with that being said, though, I think what's his face could definitely take over the game if Sauce takes away Hill.
Charvy, do you have any leans on who you feel like will have the better game, Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
They are one-dimensional, like you said. We did some stat analysis, and Miami's leading rusher throughout the season is Devon Achane. He's had 30 attempts in 3 games, which means he's getting 10 rushing attempts per game, and he's only accumulated 147 yards combined. So, I mean, top running backs obviously are sometimes hitting 147 per game. It just points to a passing game. And if I do take the Jets to win and dominate this game, they're going to have to throw. But as far as, so that leads me to Tyreek Hill has gotten 12 first downs compared to Jalen Waddle's 6. So he's definitely that quick pass, first down, move the chains guy. And after taking Waddle and a couple parlays, he starts off slow. Tua hasn't really looked at him early, so it's a little bit scary, but eventually he starts opening up to Waddle. So I do like Waddle passing yards. It's probably 40 something.
Yeah,
Although,
receiving yards for Waddle, 51.5 last that I checked.
yeah, and I think they're going to have to use it just because the data is telling me they're not rushing the ball.
Yeah.
So, and if they're playing from behind in this game script, they're going to have to find Waddle because, like
Yeah.
JB said, he's going to get shadowed by Sauce. He might even get a little extra attention too.
Yeah.
So
And that might
I'm liking Waddle.
be and that might be where they take off because they put all that attention, like you said. They not only just saw us guard shadow him, but they throw somebody over the top. Well, that leaves Waddle one-on-one, you know what I'm saying, with no help over the top, more than likely. I mean, they got other weapons too. It's not just those two, so they
Malik
got
Washington.
that number 0. I can't remember his name. Is that Malik Washington, number 0?
Malik.
He's a younger
It may
cat.
be.
He's a younger cat from Miami. Yeah. So like I think between them two, he's a quick little guy too. They got to utilize Waddle tonight. I think that's going to be the key to their game. Getting him started early, and I think if they get him started early, it will force the Jets to change of game plan and not focus on Hill as much. Maybe they continue to focus on Hill, but maybe if they start Waddle and old boy, quick and hot, they might have to. The Jets might have to change their game plan.
I was looking at the recent history between Tyreek Hill versus Sauce Gardner, and Tyreek Hill still put up 100+ yards. He had a touchdown, I believe, in their most recent matchup. It was just, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I typed it into my search engine. It was the first thing that popped up, the most recent game. And, I think that's what Miami's going to have to do tonight. The Jets.
One question on that.
Yeah.
Was that a later game? Was that a game after Robert Saleh was fired?
I'm not sure, but those are good questions for people that are interested in playing these player props tonight. I think like a big thing is how well or not well do you think Tyreek Hill is going to do against potentially getting guarded by Sauce Gardner tonight?
Yeah.
With that being said, I'd have to lean towards Tyreek Hill having the better game out of these two players simply because Tyreek Hill ranks better in yards per catch than Jalen Waddle does this season. Also, the Jets have allowed the 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, sixth most yards per completion to their opponents. So when teams are passing the ball against the Jets, they're picking up a good chunk of yardage, and Tyreek Hill, as we all know, can pick up a good chunk of yardage per reception. Also, Tyreek Hill, he went over his receiving line. Last that I saw, it was 64.5 for Tyreek Hill. He had gone over that in 7 out of 17 games last season, compared to Jalen Waddle going over that in 5 out of 15 games. But yeah, I mean, anything could happen, but I'd have to lean towards Tyreek Hill getting over that more so than the other way around. So I see that Miami, they have a pretty good third down conversion advantage. They rank first in third down conversion rate this season. The Jets are not good on third downs. They rank 30th in third down conversion rate. But I match that up with their the opponent third down conversion rate for both of these teams. Overall, I give Miami a pretty decent sized third down conversion advantage, but I give the Jets a slight red zone conversion advantage. I give the Jets a pretty decent sized red zone attempts per game advantage. Although I do also give Miami a very slight sacks on the quarterback advantage. Turnover differential is about the same, but the Jets do have a small advantage in that category. Overall, I do like the Jets +3 here tonight. I am worried about going up against a perfect 6-0 Tua against the Jets. That's a scary statistic that I'm going against tonight. But overall, if we're taking Jets +3, we don't necessarily need the Jets to win this game. It would be nice, but +3. There's a little bit of room, a little bit of will room. Maybe Miami wins this game by 1 or 2 or perhaps 3, and you get a push. So, any other thoughts on this game, guys?
Yeah, man. So
Not
I got
really.
some pushback on that Miami 6-0 versus the Jets.
Yeah,
They've had like who's been the Jets QBs over the last 6 games? Like Zach
Right.
Wilson, Aaron Rodgers was out for that
Rodgers.
whole season, and at the
Yep.
time, uh, Miami was kind of like a playoff type team at the time. I think their defense was a lot better. They got rid of some guys, and I just think the Jets break that here for sure. Also, my big fade of this game is Devon Achan. Ben, you and I went through some statistics, and so the Jets have played the Steelers, the Bills, and the Bucks. Uh, all 3 teams, Jalen Warren, James Cook and Bucky Irving, like almost career low in targets and receptions against the Jets. So they are not utilizing running backs against the Jets in the passing game. And that's the Devon Achan specialty. So it might actually, he just might be that kind of a freak. But that's my big fate of the game. And
yes, great
also,
point. Great point.
yeah, man. And the Jets played the Steelers week 1. I think they lost by a last minute field goal. At any rate, they put up 32 points against the Steelers defense. Um, the score was 34-32. They got handed it to them by the Bills. And then on the Bucks, I think the Bucks won on a last minute field goal as well. The Jets still put up 27 points against a playoff caliber, hell, maybe even Super Bowl caliber Buccaneers team. And now the Jets are playing the Miami Dolphins, who have just been out of rhythm, out of sync, albeit they looked a little bit better last week, the Dolphins did. As far as their chemistry and their game flow, it looked like they were starting to get some momentum together as an offense. It just, a lot of the things you discuss uh, really point toward the Jets kind of winning this game pretty easily. Uh, those are my final thoughts on that game.
I do want to mention special teams real quick, guys. I'm looking at these game logs for the Dolphins in their past 3 games. On kick returns, they are getting a big chunk of yardage, man.
Who?
They had 152 kickoff return yards against Buffalo, which was last week. And then against New England in week 2, they had 128 kick return yards. And then against the Colts, they had 169 kick return yards. So
Mm,
that's actually pretty incredible. Special teams are a factor now for sure. I think even more than ever because I don't know if I'm sure you guys maybe watched that game last night, but Dallas's kicker made a pretty nice kick into the opposing team's end zone on the kickoff to set them on the 20-yard line. I think it was that on their last drive, which really set Dallas up in a good position. But, especially with these new formats, the kickoff rules and stuff, special teams is definitely a factor to look into. Now, I would like to see how well the Jets are defending against kickoffs. I'm not necessarily going to look at it right this second, but I do think, if that's a big deciding factor for anybody to look into that. But even if they do have a kickoff advantage, I'm still going to be going with the Jets in this one. But yeah, definitely something worth looking into.
for sure, man. Field position's a big thing. And if these guys are getting out to the 40-yard line, all they got to do is get 30 yards to get into a field goal position. So field advantage is huge.
And I'll look real quick to see what the Jets have been allowing to opposing teams in kickoff return yards since you decided to take the microphone there for a second. Kick returns, they allowed Tampa Bay 124 yards. And then against Buffalo, see, both of these teams have played Buffalo. Against Buffalo, they only allowed 47.
Wow.
Which is good. And then against Pittsburgh, they allowed 165. So, I mean, They're allowing a good chunk of kick return yardage, but
Yeah, there's been a lot of touchdowns in the Jets games. Their opponents have been scoring quite a few points, 34, 30, 29. So that defense seems a little bit suspect. So does Sauce get mossed? Not sure. On the
Well,
flip side, it
and then
looks
you got their
like
defense, or their special teams defense blocking them kicks too.
mm,
You know, they've been kind of executing all around the board. They just need somebody, I think, consistent at quarterback at the moment. You know what I mean?
yeah. Also, the Dolphins have allowed 30 plus points in all three of their games so far. That's
Wow.
you cannot win with allowing that many points per game.
No.
I like the over in this game. I like Justin Wheels rushing yards. I like Waddle. I like the Jets honestly minus 2.5. Give me the Jets minus 2.5 on my parlays.
Well, what are your final score predictions? I'll go first on this. I'll go ahead and say the Jets 34, Dolphins 28.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I'm gonna go Jets. I'm gonna do Jets 24, Miami 21.
I'm gonna go 30-21 Jets.
All right. Any other?
Wait, I'm sorry, 30-20. 30-20.
30 to 20 Jets, Charby.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other things you guys want to get off on your chest about this game, or should we move on to the next?
Nah, I'm good on this one.
Good.
All right. So the next game is the Cincinnati Bengals at Denver Broncos. The Broncos lead the all-time series 22-12 against Cincinnati. Last that I saw, the Broncos were favored by 7.5 points. The over/under is 44.5. What do you guys think about this game? What are your initial thoughts? JB, let's start with you.
So, I mean, obviously we know it ain't even just the quarterback or the lack thereof, in Cincinnati. But it's also their defense. Offensive line can't protect anybody. Defense can't stop nobody. Defense can't rush the quarterback. It's just like, wow, man. Like, I really feel bad for Joe, but Joe kind of helped them put themselves into this spot by saying, I want these two guys no matter what. I'm not coming off no money either. Like crazy. But with that being said, also, you know, Denver's defense, like I said, is ranked number 19th in the league right now. They're not doing as good as they were last year.
Yep, in the passing yards allowed per game.
You know, and just because Browning isn't Burrow doesn't mean Browning doesn't know the system, hasn't played with them before. He actually gets a pretty good amount of practice reps with them, and they're professional football players at the end of the day.
I think Browning has a winning record as a starter as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too. And
5-4, I believe.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, is that a great wide receiver can make a bad quarterback or a decent quarterback look good, right? Like, and he's got two great targets now, where I think they have to really execute on is their protection. That the offensive line's got to protect Browning for any sort of success. That being said, though, too, over there in Denver, we've seen them lose 2 games due to field goals, special teams, one being blocked and one, you know, leverage call. So with Bo also overthrowing, you know,
yep,
overs, you know, be overs and everybody, you know, as Bo says, it's If they had a little bit better of a team, you could see, you know, it actually being a good game. But I just see Denver like this really being a game that they kind of fix everything, mesh, and they start their little roll. I think this is where you start to see Denver rise up in the division in the NFL. I got that.
Glad you mentioned quarterback or lack thereof quarterback protection that the Bengals lack. They ranked 26th before the games yesterday. Maybe they don't at this moment, but before the games yesterday, Cincinnati ranked 26th in quarterback sacks allowed per game. So they've been getting sacked a lot. Last week against Minnesota, they were sacked 4 times, and Minnesota ranks 6th in team sacks per game. Before the games this week, Minnesota ranked 6th in team sacks per game. The Broncos ranked 1st. All right, so I expect the Broncos to get at least 4 sacks tonight on Browning. I think Broncos have a huge advantage when it comes to the trenches, not just in that aspect, but they protect Bo Nix very well. And, Cincinnati, they rank 20th in team sacks per game. So they're not causing a ton of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Well, maybe they are, but they're not sacking the opposing quarterback. With that being
They're
said,
still protecting Bo real well like that, like they were last year. Kind of it translated till this year. I know Bonita is having a pretty, he's doing decent on their defense for Denver. This would have been a good one to get like Southgate or A Train up, but man, I think Sutton. Man, I'm not even getting into that. We'll just keep going.
Cincinnati, they rank last in rushing yards per game this season. So, and they also rank 4th in passing play percentage. So, much like the Miami Dolphins, who we just talked about, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are also a one-dimensional passing team.
100%.
And they're going to, have to try to get something going through the air. Somebody I have on my radar here is T. Higgins. Over under 49.5 receiving yards is the last I saw. Now, Denver does rank 21st in opponent yards per completion. So they're below average in yards per completion allowed to the opposing team when they complete passes. And T. Higgins ranks 25th in yards per catch this year. He went over that line in 10 out of 12 games in 2024. And also in 2024, he had a monster game against Denver. He had 131 yards, 11 receptions, and 3 touchdowns. So I definitely think he's worth putting on the radar. But something else that could be beneficial, obviously, is how much has Browning specifically been targeting T. Higgins, But anyways, with all that being said, Charby, what are your thoughts on this game, man?
I like Denver, as JB said. Homie's been overthrowing his guys still. J.K. Dobbins has been having a great year so far. I like Denver to run the ball a lot, control the clock, control the game. Bengals, an uphill climb. I don't see how they win here. ESPN has Denver to win 70%, 72%. I like the under. I like J.K. Dobbins rushing yards. I like J.K. to get a touchdown. And give me Denver minus 9.5. I think they win by 10 points here. That's where I'm at with this game so far.
Yeah, fair enough, man. And Denver ranks 8th in rushing yards per game. Cincinnati ranks 21st in rushing yards allowed per game. So just in that aspect alone, I think Denver definitely has an advantage there. Cincinnati's been doing a good job at limiting quarterback rushing yards this season. I think some of that also has to do with opponents that they've played: Cleveland, Jacksonville, and Minnesota. So they haven't been playing, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen. You know what I mean? So I think some of that reflects their opponents that they've played, but overall, they've done a great job at limiting that. So, yeah, man, I could see, Denver trying to establish that run. Absolutely. Now, I think I heard somebody mention Cortland Sutton. Last that I saw, his receiving yards were 65.5. So let's say that the Broncos do opt to throw the ball a little bit. Cincinnati ranks 22nd in opponent yards per completion, so below average. And Sutton ranks 27th best in the NFL in yards per catch this year. He's gone over that line in 1 out of 3 games against Cincinnati, so not the most favorable history. But Sutton has had a touchdown in 2 out of 3 career games against Cincinnati. I think if people like Sutton anytime touchdown, that's worth looking into.
Oh yeah.
Chase Brown receiving yards is something that I want to mention real quick for the Cincinnati side. Denver this season ranked 7th worst in receiving yards allowed to running backs. Last that I saw, Chase Brown's over-under on receiving yards was 18.5. He doesn't have the most favorable current or historical trends, but something that he does have is that he had a season high in targets and receptions in Browning's first start this season against Minnesota. So I definitely think Chase Brown receiving and or reception props are worth looking into, guys.
Yeah, Browning did lead a comeback against was it Minnesota?
Oh no, that was the game that
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville is the game that
yeah. So I mean, dude,
Also, something
Jacksonville's
else I want to
defense
bring
ain't
up
no
too.
slouch.
Oh, go ahead, JB.
Jacksonville's defense ain't no slouch, and it wasn't like Browning was playing all game. He had to come off the
Right.
bench cold, and he was able to lead them to a win. So, I mean, that's kind of gotta, I mean, that's impressive to me, especially Jacksonville's defense, and I think Jacksonville's defense is actually better than Denver's defense this year.
I'm also just looking at this game, guys, and when Jake Browning came into this game, boy, did he really target Jamar Chase. I mean, he kept throwing the ball to him, man, and maybe that is the guy that he'll look for again tonight. I was talking about Higgins. I personally prefer Higgins, but if you like Jamar Chase, man, in that game against Jacksonville, he really targeted Jamar
who's
Chase.
Jacksonville's corner though to really lock down Jamar?
Right.
I think it's really Jacksonville playing good as a collective unit, maybe more so the names up front and maybe the safeties. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think there's a big difference, and I think Jamar Chase actually gets shut down by PS2.
100. Yeah, me too.
So, and I'm pretty sure also because like a lot of the big questions over the offseason or the conversations over the offseason has been, like Jay Jettas and Jamar Chase, who's 1 and 2. If I'm not mistaken, Jamar Chase gets locked up a lot more than Jettas does against high caliber corners.
Okay, yeah, that's great to know, man.
So I do like Higgins.
Me too.
At least if PS2 is not going to shadow, but I'm pretty sure PS2 shadows. So,
well, I mean, they've been watching film and preparing for this game all week, right? So I'm sure the defensive back coach is like, do not let Jamar take your top off, because we all know Jamar can put up 150 yards receiving. He did it like 4 times last year. Like, all they're focusing on is like, do not let Jamar jack you up. So I don't think. I mean, what are Jamar's numbers? Like 66 or something right now for this game
on receiving yards.
Yeah,
I can check real quick.
At any rate, I like Higgins to be kind of like a little bit of a sleeper, a little bit more of an open target this game. And I also want to bring up Troy Franklin on the other side for Denver. This dude's kind of sneaky if you're building a parlay. He's had 14 receptions on 19 targets for 141 yards.
Nice.
He's getting 47 yards per game. However, Cortland Sutton, though, has had 3 chunk passes for over 20 yards compared to Troy Franklin's 1. So, I mean, but Cortland Sutton has had 13 receptions on 21 targets. So that's who he's getting overthrown a lot. However, Troy Franklin seems to be more like a safe, more reliable option, albeit for less chunk plays.
I also just want to mention that Marvin Mims, wide receiver for the Broncos, is questionable in this game. So let's say that he does sit. That could open up even more opportunity for Franklin and or Sutton. You
And
know,
Interesting.
maybe more so, like you're saying, Charby, on that. Oh boy, maybe instead of going yards, maybe just catches, possessions, receptions or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it ain't a lot of chunk of yardage, the big plays or whatnot. But I mean, he's catching majority of his passes. 14 out of 19. It's only drop about a pass a game.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. It looks like he's had 14 in 3 games, so he's getting about 5 receptions per game. So if it's
Yeah,
at 4.5 with Marvin Mims out, I really like Troy
I
Franklin's
mean,
receptions. That's a great point.
but I mean, even if even if he's not, if Marvin Mims, if Mims is in, because obviously Mims, I mean, has Mims and him been playing? I mean, has Mims been in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think he's more utilized on special teams as like a kick punt returner. He's had six receptions across 10 targets. They don't use him as much. He's like a true number
Yeah,
3, but he's
yeah.
more of a special teams. He can get some yards on kickoffs. That's where he thrives.
the last thing I feel like I need to touch on is a potential Browning interception thrown. Okay.
Yep, love it.
So I know these are last
I love
season
it.
numbers. I know these are last season numbers, but the Jaguars only had 6 interceptions last year. Okay. Browning threw 3 interceptions against the Jaguars when he came in for Joe Burrow. So he didn't even play a full game and threw 3 interceptions to a team with the third fewest interceptions in 2024.
Ooh.
Also against the Vikings, right now in 2024, the Vikings ranked first in interceptions. The Vikings picked off Browning 2 times last week. In 2024, Denver was above average in interceptions. Okay. They had 15 total interceptions in 2024, and they had 3 touchdowns off of, they had 3 pick sixes in 2024, which led the league, tied with the Falcons. So I think there is a potential for not only a Broncos interception here, but a Broncos pick six.
Yeah, that's a great stat. Browning's throwing a lot of picks.
Yeah, I like it.
Ooh, I like that, Ben. Nice.
With all that being said, what are your guys's? Do you have any other things that you want to mention about this game?
Can I just touch up on that Jake Browning stat real quick?
Yeah.
He's played what, 2 games?
Uh-huh.
Like one full one in like a quarter.
Yep.
He has 5 picks and he's been sacked 4 times. He has 5 picks in basically 1.25 games. That is unreal.
Yeah,
I
I
love
like
the
the
pick
pick.
6.
Yep, I love the picks. At least, I mean,
Is there a bet for that to throw 2 interceptions?
I guarantee there's interceptions. I can't check personally.
Okay.
Pick six is a little ambitious, but yeah, pick is very doable. Even maybe even 2+.
Yeah,
against
yeah.
this Denver defense.
I could see 2. I could see that 1.5 or whatever definitely hitting.
In Denver, man, they're going to be getting pressure on him. One would think Denver's going to be getting pressure on this guy. So more pressure than he's seen in his first 2 previous games.
Yep. Expect a pretty messy game tonight. Probably a blowout, to be honest. I think the Jets Miami game would be a better game to watch personally. I mean, that's just going off the paper, what we've seen eye test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else, guys? My final score prediction in this game, the over-under is 44.5. I'm going to say that 44 total points are scored in this game. Give me the Broncos to win this one, 31-13.
I think it's gonna be. I like the spread, the over, as well. You said it's 44.
44.5. Yep.
44.5. Yeah, I like it. Like, I don't know, 30, maybe like 35-10 or 9, 35-9.
Okay. Well, it looks like we may have lost Charby, but that's okay. I know that he was saying that if I'm not mistaken, that he liked Denver in this game. I'll give him another moment or two to join. I do just want to mention, going back to the turnovers or the interceptions, overall this season, Denver does have a slight turnover differential advantage. They are -1 in that category, but Cincinnati's -4. I see that Denver has a slight red zone attempts per game advantage. Red zone conversion advantage, I don't see a clear cut and dry advantage for either team, but I would probably have to go with Denver simply because Cincinnati's red zone conversion rate may be a little inflated since Joe Burrow did play in that first game of the season, but Cincinnati did only score 17 points. But maybe it's right on target. Maybe when Cincinnati is getting into the red zone, that they are converting. They do rank 5th best in red zone conversion rate, but Denver ranks 2nd in opponent red zone conversion rate. So Denver's doing a great job at defending against opponents when they do enter the red zone. So 31-13, Denver is my prediction. What was your prediction, JB?
35-9.
35-9.
Yeah, Denver.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I think that just about does it. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening to the Not Move podcast. If you could please hit that subscribe button, we'd greatly appreciate that. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say, JB?
Mybookie.ag. There's a QR code up in the left top corner of the screen. You guys can scan it. Also, BetUS. Promo code not move. Get 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. We also got NFL shop and MLB shop. Got the links in the bio. You guys click those. You guys can get all your NFL gear, MLB gear, cards, baseball cards, stuff like that through there. Yeah, man. I'm still not moved, though.
I'm not moved either. Thanks again, guys. Take care.
This non-casual podcast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without the authorized written consent of the Not Move Podcast Network. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.